Hey guys, welcome to our channel, We Dig Antiquities. This is Mark.
And this is Brenna. Join us as we treasure hunt our way around the sun coast of Florida. We'll find strange artifacts, coins and relics, strange things. Sometimes we'll need your advice to figure out what they are. Alright, so I've been detecting a little over a year now. Some of the highlights of things I've found. I love to find matchbox cars, coins. This is a weird bronze anchor that I found. Some bullets. These are lead ingots for plumbing. It's a giant wrench I found recently on our first video series on YouTube. This is a giant bolt that we found that actually fits it. Those are kind of interesting. Some interesting knives, locks, keys, some jewelry. A toy gun that I found recently. Some strange commemorative coins, foreign coins, wheat pennies. These are all Chuck E. Cheese coins for some reason. This is a boat bow light that we found on our first video series here. We weren't sure what it was at the time and did a little research and discovered that it's a boat bow light. That's about all we've figured out now. Don't know brand or make or model or any kind of boat that it came from. I'm guessing power boat, but potentially sailboat. Maybe you know something about it. If you know anything about it, feel free to leave a comment.
We found a couple other lights on eBay actually that look pretty similar. A lot of the time we pull things out of the ground that look super interesting, but we're not really sure what it is, so we go ahead and do some research. eBay, Etsy, other sites online, or even just put in keywords that we think might correlate. So we pulled out these little plaques and, you know, lots of words and letters and numbers and things. We weren't really sure what they meant, but a few simple keywords in Google, we found out pretty quickly that it was a World War II plaque for an old radio. Who knew? I've been detecting about 3 months and I'm totally hooked right away pretty much. Haven't really found a whole lot worth a lot of value, but at least I think a lot of the stuff I pulled out so far is pretty cool. We were at an old park not too far north of a pretty famous museum, art museum. On our way back to the car, pretty much done with hunting for the day, and decided to do a couple more swings on the way back to the car and pulled out this sterling silver 1939 English gadroon fork. Pretty neat. I've found my fair share of clad coins so far, but we actually traded in some of our coins to
Start this YouTube channel.
yeah, which is kind of neat. Using things we found from the ground to fuel our passion for metal detecting. So a lot of the stuff we pull out, you know, isn't maybe super impressive to a lot of people, but we find it way interesting. You know, I've found a couple of cars so far. I love finding gears. I think it's super neat. Found a couple pieces of jewelry, some bullets and other strange things.
You'll recognize some of these things if you tuned into our first video series. This, what we thought might have been a radiator, and it turns out it's probably more like an oil cooler. It could maybe be like power steering or transmission cooler or something like that. It could even be potentially related to this boat bow light. These are more lead ingots that Brenna found, same as this here. They're just connected together, and these are used for the old cast iron drain pipes. Same home site gave us this really neat old pickaxe, which is a really interesting relic, I think. There's obviously a lot of scrap value, so we save a lot of copper and things like that. Things like these elbows. Later on, when we have a big bucket of them, we'll take them down to the scrapyard and turn it all in and try to monetize our hobby a little bit more.
This whole thing kind of started, Mark had actually been to this park a few times, and obviously he's been doing it a little bit longer than me, but we're passing by a tree and I thought, I want to check that out. went over there and pulled out a couple bullets, and went back the next weekend, and that's when we pulled out this here.
The pickaxe.
Yeah. Couple weeks went by, we maybe hit some other spots. Went back to that same park and went back to the same field that we pulled the bullet and the pickaxe out of. I thought, well, we've hit this one a couple times. Let's check that other one out. Kind of in the back corner of this park. And that's when we stumbled upon, oh my gosh, the machine is just going nuts. It wouldn't stop. Every couple inches it was going off, and that's what kind of started this whole, maybe we should be filming this, like, we're out every weekend doing it anyways, and we love it, both of us. And then that's when we pulled out all of this and decided to start documenting it.
Turned up some interesting artifacts. Here's a interesting, probably buried for 40 plus years, hose nozzle that came out, and I ran it through the ultrasonic cleaner a couple of laps and threw a little oil in there, and it works good as new, all the way down to the original washer that's inside, red rubber. It's all full of checking, but when you plug it into the hose, it still works like a champ. So artifacts like that I always enjoy, things that you can actually use again, and has a neat piece of history and a story behind it.
And what's neat too, I think, is that, when we first got to that one field, the one that we decided, hey, this might be a home site, what's neat is that the first thing you pull out that's a little bit different, you're thinking, oh, okay, well, maybe this was something, and then the next thing, a story starts to form. You know what I mean? And
sure.
It was kind of neat, even over a 2-day period, before we even talked to that lady, the neighbor, who verified that it actually was a home site. You start pulling out these different pieces and piecing together some sort of story, and that's part of what I love about metal detecting, is just the history behind it. And a lot of this stuff might not have a lot of value, but it's pretty neat to pull out an old pickaxe head and think, well, why is that there? Who dropped it? Why did they drop it? And why did they drop it next to this thing? And 10 feet away, there's this thing.
Interesting pieces like this, and this wrench starts to tell a story. You can start to discern that this must have been the backyard of this house, and clearly this is where the guys worked on stuff. Maybe there was a pole barn there, maybe there was a shed or something, but clearly they were dropping tools and parts of things they were working on. So, like she says, as time goes on, you start to figure out this must have been the front yard, and maybe not a lot of activity in the front yard, but this is where the men of the house hung out and fixed things, and this is, maybe where the barbecuing happened, or you never can tell on these sites until you really start to dig into them with a shovel and a metal detector and see what's there.
Yeah.
Here at We Dig Antiquities, we'd like to help you think of maybe some new sites that you hadn't thought of, maybe places to detect, maybe signs to look for, some tips and some tricks. And we've got a little bit for everybody, so the novice detector, or maybe even somebody that doesn't have a detector yet and they're on the fence whether they want to get a detector and try it out. Does it seem like something that is for me? All the way up to the advanced detector that might know quite a bit about places to hunt, and maybe we have a few other ideas of places you haven't thought of yet.